Hi everyone, it's Cassandra Williamson. I am sitting outside McDonald's in South Williamson, Kentucky. And I just wanted to come on and do a little breaking news thing. I know that this has been a story in the past already about potential cuts to the 988 suicide prevention line. There are several factors to this thing. One of them is if you dial 988 in option 1, you get to the Veterans Crisis Line. And if you dial 988 option 3, you get to the LGBTQ plus suicide prevention line. So right now, the Trump administration and the Health and Human Services Department have a budget item that is kind of loosely construed as a cut to a lot of services at HHS, and one of those is obviously is a cut to that 988 suicide prevention line number that had been instituted and implemented, um, activated actually during President Biden's administration. But Trump had actually been the one who initiated it back in his first term and actually laid the foundations to get it started as a means to help with suicide prevention for veterans as well as LGBT people. But now they're looking to cut it. And that's a possibility that if it goes through, if this continues moving forward, then what will happen is that 988 number that does LGBT suicide prevention for youth, which has a greater percent of suicides and suicide prevention programming for youth than any other population out there, and veterans too, for that matter. But the one in particular that they're looking at cutting is LGBT. So here it is, Pride Month, and this is coming up again in several news sources that the Trump administration is looking to cut funding for suicide prevention for LGBT people. And this is all about the cruelty, folks. If you don't know that by now, this is just cruelty. That's all it is. And well, also animosity towards uh, any minority population, the recognition of any minority population. So they're looking to cut that funding for the 988 crisis line for LGBT people. Now, I don't know yet what the impact is on this, the veteran side of things. I know that they have cut back enormously the operations of the veteran suicide prevention centers, and I know that that's what's been going on, and they just don't care. They don't care about people. There's no empathy for people. There's no empathy for those who are different than themselves. And they seem to think that everyone in the country can be painted with this big broad brush that says we're all just humans, we're all Americans, and that's the only thing we need to be looking at. But we know from all the studies and all the science and everything out there that different populations are impacted by suicidality at a greater rate than others. We know that's the case, but yet here this administration wants to go around and slash funding for suicide prevention phone number, the 988 system that was set up a couple of years ago. I mean, that is just atrocious. So you need to be reaching out to your representatives, your senators. You need to be doing that and letting them know how strongly opposed you are to cut funding for anything to do with suicide prevention, whether it's in the VA or whether it's with the LGBT community and the Trevor Project. So that stuff, the funding for those things have been going on for some time now, a number of years. And here we are, an administration in the middle of Pride Month who wants to cut the funding for it. These stories are starting to pop up again in places like, The Advocate, Newsweek, different ones are starting to put them out there again. It started in April, but here we are in June, and we're going right back into this again. And there's no clear word that says specifically to do that within that the budget proposals, but we know how this stuff works. There's no specificity within the budget so that they can get it through quicker and easier. That's this whole process. But we also know that the cruelty of this administration for LGBT people, for minorities across the board, is just off the scale. If you are an ally, if you are someone who has LGBT members in your family or whatever, and you love those people and you care about them, and you have youth who are LGBT, and you know that they have had some suicidal ideation along the way. We know that a large percentage of people do, and it's not inherent within themselves that there is an issue with it. It's having to deal with everything in their communities and their families that push them down. And it's just atrocious that they would even consider that. So reach out to your representatives and your senators and let them know that you are opposed to this. Call them. You can find their phone numbers. You can find their addresses or contact information. Find them online and send them a message and let them know. No cuts to suicide prevention programming or phone number systems. Okay? So that's what I'm asking. Come back later. We'll talk again.